Yes,
Intern.
we still.
Yeah, I met a couple.
There we go. Now can you guys hear? There we go. They thumbs up. Awesome. So just to recap for those that did not hear us, we were just discussing the kindergarten open house that we're having. This is our first time having a kindergarten open house. And also we were just discussing the hiring fair.
I did, I believe there are also, there's a little echo in me. A visitation of 8th graders to 9th grade academy, and congratulations to Ms. Lewis. I just want to.
Awesome. All right. Next, we're going to go, if there's no more comments, questions, or concerns, we're going to go to our education committee agenda read by our chair, Ms. Valerie Cook-Henry.
Good evening, everyone. B1, expulsion waiver agreement, and B2, release and settlement agreement.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook-Henry. Are there any comments or concerns with regard to the education committee agenda that was just read? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Next, we're going to go to our personnel committee agenda read by our chair, Ms. Wadia Ivory.
All right, good evening, everyone. First up, C1, retirement. And of course, I have to mention, we have Ms. Cynthia Todd, grade 5 teacher at Alden Elementary, who's been with the district since September 15th, 1988.
Oh, wow.
And her effective date is June 16th, 2023. And I must give a personal plug, she was my son's 4th grade teacher. And I believe my other son's 5th grade teacher, but I just want to again celebrate Ms. Todd for all of her years of dedication to the board, to the district, and how many children's lives and families' lives she's touched. So thank you, Ms. Todd, for your years of service, and enjoy that retirement time. C2, resignations. C3, appointments. We have one professional staff, Leslie Chen, special education teacher at Ardmore Avenue. Start date is May 1st, 2023. And support staff, Kenneth Tucker, SSO, district-wide. Start date, May 3rd, 2023. C4, changes in assignment. C5, leaves of absence. We have no mentors. C7, miscellaneous appointments. We have no. I'm sorry, yes, we do. Miscellaneous appointments. B, secondary supplementals. And district-wide supplementals. Test coordinators. C8, tenure awards. We have, I must acknowledge this, Penwood Middle School, Cedar Gulf. And C9, salary track changes. None. And C10, miscellaneous personnel items. C11, modifications to previously approved items. Yes. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ivory. I also have to say, happy retirement to Ms. Todd. I went to Alden, and it was 5th grade. It was Ms. Fink and Ms. Todd. So I remember that. And I'm sorry, 5th grade, it was Mr. Donnell and Ms. Todd. I said that incorrectly. So, but Ms. Fink and Ms. Todd knew each other. So it was just awesome to have her. I didn't have her as a teacher. I had Mr. Donnell, but she was always a presence, always encouraging to us. And happy retirement, Ms. Todd. Are there any other comments, questions? Yes.
A small thing, it's just a thing for me. Penwood on the high school and middle school spring supplementals, if that could be spelled properly.
See what?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, C7.
Okay.
Big, just Penwood.
C7.
Yeah.
All right. C7, we have to fix a spelling correction.
She said,
C7, she said.
Yeah, it's two words.
Oh, Penwood. I see,
Yeah.
I got it. Got it.
Sorry, it's a trick.
No.
for me.
All right.
She always had.
Are there
Thank you.
any other comments, questions, or concerns? All right. Hearing or seeing none, we'll go to our property committee agenda read by our chair, Mr. Jan Tom.
Thank you, Ms. Pickens. We have D1, contracted services, food service management company, and D2, Adhera, designated person and environmental consultant. That concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tom. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
yes.
Yes, go ahead.
For D1, I would like to see the RPFs, is it, I said RFP?
RFP.
RFP for the two companies, just for clarification, asked for during the property committee meeting. Just to, so the board can have a clear understanding of what we are, voting on. So before that goes to, I would like to.
Okay, I want to, go ahead, I'll go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So one thing I want to say is that at the last board meeting, we had some comments and concerns that was brought up about food service, correct? And from that time, the comments and concerns were brought up about the food service, but we as a board did not know the process. We didn't know what we could do at that time. And we learned, we were educated on that. I would say not so much of the issue. I just don't want our board to be a reactive board. I want us to be a proactive board. So I'm stating that to say that we learned some information that night. So with that being said, this contract was already, when we learned about it, the contract was already moving forward. And we have 1 year, by talking to Jeff, we kind of are obligated at this point to move forward for that 1 year with, hear what I'm about to say?
Yeah, I'm just want to get, in my mind, I'm processing what you're saying.
Aramark, because of the fact they were in the middle of the process. Now, it is some feedback, I don't know, but we're in the middle of the process. I did speak with Mr. Kaufman for us to talk about what we need to do with moving forward. Now that we know what I would say, what we can do to move forward in this contract or without this contract, I think that we as a board just need to understand the process a little bit better. For instance, that was the first tasting that since I've been on the board, that's the first time we ever had a food tasting for our food services, and we're able to see the difference between one company and another. With that being said, Mr. Kaufman, if you could just speak a little bit on why, with regard to the 1 year, why we cannot kind of like say no at this point.
Sure. So now that the scoring has been done and will be submitted to BDE, if we do not approve the contract, it does not mean that we can go with the other company. What it means is that we cannot use it for food service management company. So that would mean the district would have to try to hire its own food service staff, food service managers, and get all the logistical information to operate until we could go out to RP next year.
So that's what I did some research to try to understand what we were going through that night and stating that night. Basically, we would have to use them for the year, and then we go back out and we follow the process what we did before. And I just want to be clear. I understand the comments and everything that was brought that night, and I understand a lot of people were not happy with it. But a few things, like for instance, the breakfast being cold, we can fix that. We can fix that with regard to the breakfast being cold. That's something that we need to have a discussion with Aramark about for them to have hot breakfast for our kids. There are a few things that I feel like we can bring back to Aramark and talk to them, but I just wanted to bring that up because if we say no to this at our next Monday, we will find ourselves in a bit of a jam. And that's what I don't want us to be in the jam. Okay, you have the floor.
So when you say we can fix it, you mean fix it in the subsequent contract a year from now or something while the process is playing this calendar year?
I'm talking about now.
The next academic year.
So when this happened, the gentleman from Aramark, he called me and we had a discussion because he heard it over the meeting, you know, he heard over the meeting, and I explained to him the concerns. And then with regard to hot breakfast, that was one big concern. We can talk about how to make that better. What I'm finding is that the communication that he's receiving is basically as if his hands are tied, but his hands aren't tied, and he's not getting the right communication out.
Is it more of a cost factor or logistic factor?
Logistics. It's logistics.
But it's something that they can address.
Can I clarify what my point was?
Mhm.
I understand that part.
Uh-huh.
That's not something that's gonna be fixed overnight, the
Yep.
logistics part. What I need clarity on, when the tasting was offered, it was not communicated that the tasting was irrelevant to this process.
Right.
Because we took out, I think, a few of us took our time, took about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours here for the testing. We had a discussion after the testing, discussing both sides. We talked about what the process was. I thought we were referencing the RFP, and I apologize, in regards to what one company was offering in their proposal versus the other company. And when we left, my interpretation was that one company was offering a better deal, but we weren't sure of why they were offering a better deal. Because I did recall posing the question of, in terms of staffing, are they offering less staffing versus another company? And the answer was no, they're not offering less staff. So it's a red flag to me when I read the report that the scoring, that one of the previous companies that they were contracted, they reached out, but did they reach out to the second company that they're currently working with? Or, you know, when I was looking at the scoring sheet that we received.
No, I understand what you're
So
saying.
it
So
just
it's
raised a
like,
red flag where, when we had the tasting, there was one thing, and then my assumption was that at the property meeting, it was gonna be a discussion, because those were questions that the discussion we left off, it wasn't as if the proposals were, one company's offering a better deal. It was opposite of what we discussed at the tasting. So that's why I asked for the proposal, so I could see what the two were, because at the time of the tasting, one company was offering, they were offering the same amount of staffing, and now another company's offering a different amount of staffing. I'm like, understand.
as if somebody went back and said
Right,
to
and
them,
then did they adjust their staffing?
because they heard that the other company could provide.
That's why I'm asking for clarity.
Okay.
To Ms. Irene's point, I was disappointed that I could not attend it. I would have been more disappointed if had I attended, then found out that my opinion was irrelevant.
And having a
That's what we're
discussion
gonna do,
about
my
it,
opinion was irrelevant.
and we're asking for information, asking for information, finding additional information on the second company, and then to know that if you're finding out information on the second company, did it matter anyway, or was it just taking up my evening?
So I think to Ms. Ivory's point, if we could see the RFP and the proposals received. And for next year,
Yes,
we should actually have a meeting to understand the RFP, put the other things like the tasting
In
in
it.
the RFP.
I agree.
Right.
And talk as a board, how to encourage more people to do a walkthrough. So, right, 5 people walk through, only 2 submitted bids.
Mhm.
Is there a way that we can make this a more attractive thing to get more bids?
Agreed.
But to Mr.
Kaufman.
Kaufman's, sorry, Kaufman is my family name, is right now, for this 1 year, we have to follow protocols. It's a little like a low bidder, lowest responsible bid for construction, right? And
Yeah, the same
and-
way.
Right, and that's sort of, you put out your bid, they respond, nothing more, nothing less. And so we're sort of stuck in that. That's why
That's within the parameter that we set.
Right.
The board set the different parameters, as hot lunch option 3 days a week.
right.
This, that, the other thing, then when they come in, they have the bid according to the
But
specifications.
it's also important to understand that there's only one school in the district doing a hot breakfast. And that
one
is Ninth Grade Academy, I believe.
And we should fix that. That's
No,
something.
I agree.
Okay.
And I think that Airmark has heard us and is going to, but they also have to work with principals, because a lot of this dovetails with the other reported incident of our furry friends coming because we have we have food all over our buildings now. And it does become a different, in your house.
No, yeah, you're right, but I think that we still really,
Of
that's
course.
something just we need to fix, because our kids should have a hot burger, they should have a choice, we
Well-
should be able to fix that. The way that she was describing the meat and things of that nature, the chicken being very dry, and that's something that they can fix, it was hard, the meat was
Right.
hard, so
Right.
these are things that Aramark can fix for
Right.
this year, but I'm with you on going back, setting these parameters. And when it's time, Mr. Coughlin, if you make us aware of everything that's going on with setting the parameters, we'll be able to do that.
And by reading the RFP this year,
Mhm.
we'll have in our heads, we could take notes and say, oh, this is important to us.
Gotcha.
I still have a question though about our tasting and neighbors. It doesn't, what we were, I don't know, Jan, am I incorrect? We were told that the one company came in less than the other. And now in the report, in the scoring sheet, it's opposite, it's flipped. I'm just wondering, why did it flip from the time of the tasting to now? That's it. Go ahead, Joe.
My question is, so in order to be proactive, when do we begin this process? So when do we start looking at contracts and all them other fancy names y'all been, acronyms y'all been giving out? So when does that begin? December? Okay. And I know this is not germane to the question, but also other contractors, like the solicitor. I have been asking when's the solicitor contracts? When is that due?
I would have to get back to
Okay.
There's a question in the chat.
Yep. He's bringing it up. So at this time, we will have public comment at the end with regard to agenda items. I see that there is a comment, so we'll make sure Mr. Wiley, at the end, we will unmute you for you to respond on the contract. With that being said, with Wadia's comment, I don't want what you say, I don't want it to be disregarded. The board members that spent their time to do the tasting, I understand it was time out your day, and I want you to understand it was value added. Mr. Coughlin will have to get back to us for understanding of why the numbers are different. So, Mr. Coughlin, when you get a chance, if you could send an email out to the board, to one, for the RFP, and then two, to let us know why there was a difference in the grading results, or if you know now about the grading results, if you want to speak on it, you can.
Sure. So I have the two large binders with responses to the RFP. Otherwise, the digitized copies comes in any file, so it would probably be easier to come look at the paper version.
Okay.
If you prefer the electronic, I can try and sort it together for everybody, but
It's better to come in because it's a
probably
huge.
easier to see it, and that way you can see the scoring papers and everything like that.
Okay, so
as
Ms.
well.
Ivory will schedule some time with you.
Okay.
Okay,
And then as well as to address the food tasting, there was on the bottom, it did note and was highlighted in pink that the scoring would not impact.
got you.
And I think it was communicated in Jeff's emails as well. However, I know a lot of the asking if you're going to attend was done in person, but it may not have been said so.
Okay, yeah, he said, you heard him though? You heard what he said?
It's okay. It
Okay,
really is okay.
okay, go ahead, Ms. Hopkins.
Madam President and Mr. Chair, Tom, I want to also add on to the property agenda, the bus lot. I know we have some great news and I would like to have that shared at our business meeting, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Hopkins. Are there any other comments or concerns? Okay, so next, we are going to go to our Budget and Finance Committee agenda. And that's going to be read by our chair, Ms. Jennifer Hall.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd, and Ms. People on Trustees report. E2 list of bills, E3 Delaware County Community College 2024 budget. And that is all. We have our budget advisory committee meeting this Thursday at 6:30 PM via Zoom. If you could reach out to your citizen representatives, that would be awesomely appreciated.
6:30 PM Thursday. Yep,
Via Zoom.
thank you. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns with regard to the Budget and Finance Committee agenda? Yes, Ms. Richardson.
When would we be scheduled to have the budget back to you?
That would be this week, Thursday.
So it will be in next business meeting? I mean,
It will be in the budget advisory committee meeting. It won't be in the business meeting.
It would show up in the business meeting for the
May.
30
Yes.
days.
Yep, because you, right. But the board will get the information on probably Wednesday evening, and we are planning to do three group sessions so that board members will be able to get more detail and one-on-one information and unpack what the numbers really mean between April and May, because in May you'll have to take a vote.
All right. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with regard to the Budget and Finance agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, we're gonna go to our policy committee. Yes, policy committee agenda read by Ms. Joy Hopkins.
Policy Committee Agenda, F1, second reading of Policy 337, which is vacation under the employees. Also, just a reminder, May 4th, Policy Committee meeting, we will be discussing the recess policy. We'll be going over that policy and we will have, I'm going to assume, thorough discussion regarding that recess policy. So I don't know who this is under, but I really do need that administrative staff that to be present at that meeting, whoever that is under.
Danielle is the person and she will be there, and we will also have all elementary principals in attendance.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am.
Can I ask, it's not for, can we also, I know a while back over here, a couple of parents were inquiring about the uniform policy, and I know we had said at the time we were gonna go in order, but I noticed we have one out of order, so we can address some of the parent concerns, so can we add that before the end of the school year, so parents will know what to expect for the school year?
So that will probably be maybe in June. But I also want us to go back and look at where we landed. I know we did something, but I will follow up with Ms. Seward.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
no problem.
I thought the first-
Dr.
Danielle
Biko,
is saying that she can't hear us.
I didn't hear her question. I didn't
Oh,
hear it.
she was asking about, okay, she was asking about the uniform policy, and I just told her we would follow up because I
Okay.
know that we had taken some action, and so we'll follow up with the board.
and Dr.
Oh,
Biko,
I'm sorry.
the action that was supposed to be taken, and I'm gonna have to take responsibilities that I was supposed to ask regarding doing a type A of survey to parents. Because we wasn't sure if this is just a certain school that was asking about uniforms, or is it just a certain parent that was asking about uniforms? Or does the district as a whole, parents as a whole, do they want to see us to really revise this to not be a uniform policy? I dropped the ball on that one. So I'm gonna have to talk to, I don't know who to talk to, but I'm gonna have to talk to
Ms.
someone,
Seward.
Ms. Seward. So then, yeah, when we have our meeting, you and I will be discussing getting that survey out, all right?
I also thought we were gonna check with the principals regarding their opinion.
Yeah, we should get the stakeholders involved,
Yeah.
the parents, the principals, yeah. That'll be important because you don't know who, maybe one principal needs uniforms and they think it's applicable to, they need it, I don't know, but we should ask. the principals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hopkins. I just want to go back for I had a property question for Mr. Tong, or I guess for admin. I just want to get clarity with regard to the Kirkfield project. Now that Jeff is not here, I would like to understand who's handling communication with Mid-Atlantic. I just want to know who's in charge.
I want to say that that is Darnell and Bob.
So ultimately, made to report to Dr. Bucco to the board, but my operations supervisor, Darnell, is boots on the ground.
Okay,
But all information will still flow through.
okay, so Darnell's having so he's gonna be at the subcommittee meeting,
Yes.
Darnell.
Yes.
subcommittee. Okay, all right, I just wanted to find out it was being asked, was it you or Darnell? So basically Darnell's having all the communication, then you're the one that's filtering it to the board. Got you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So at this time, that concludes our agenda, all of our agendas for our committees. I would like to go back to Mr. Whalen, now we're going to go to questions and comments from the community or citizens. Any agenda items or non-agenda items? So I would like to give Mr. Whalen the opportunity to come off the mic and ask the question about the RFP, I believe he was asking.
Good evening. Yes. How's everybody doing today? This is Cole Whaley, Winston Culinary Group. Can everyone hear me?
I'm sorry, can you say who you are again?
This is Cole Whaley. I'm the Regional Vice President of Sales for Winston Culinary Group. I manage the territory in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. And just had two questions, if that's okay, regarding RFP. And one's more of a statement.
Yeah.
It sounds like, is the scorecard, can Bob just share verbally the score? Is that possible between us and Airmark?
You said, can Bob share the score?
Yeah, the scorecard, will that be published at some point?
We can.
After we vote.
Yeah, after the vote.
We'll be
Okay,
able
understood.
to publish the scorecard after we vote, if you heard him.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. And it just I didn't hear, maybe I just missed the piece. It sounds like there were some discrepancies or misunderstanding as it related to the tasting and how that impacted the overall scoring or not. I understood it did not impact the scoring, but it just sounds like there was something there that I wanted to kind of double back to just get clarity on. It sounds like I heard board members saying that they didn't understand the process and now you have to sign a contract and there's an opportunity, in December to go out for the 1-year renewal. And I just wanted to double back and get some clarity on that.
So what we stated was that in the beginning of this, we as a board, we were educated our last meeting with understanding what we were obligated to do and what we were not obligated to do. We didn't know all the options in this process. So we learned a little bit more about this process in our last meeting. Once we learned about the process and from the comments and concerns that were brought up, we had the tasting. What I stated was that I did not want our board to be a reactionary board based off the comments that were stated in the meeting. I didn't want us just to say, oh, well, we're just done with Airmark. We throw it out the window. We know that at this point that we have to move forward with the 1 year because we were in the middle of that contract, negotiating that contract. So we had to move forward with that. So if we declined or next Monday, if we say that we are not approving this, we may find ourselves in a jam as a board, as you just heard from our business manager. He explained to us that we would have to pick up our own food services at that time. So
That's what I want to do address.
Yes, go ahead.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that while this RFP was being reviewed and then scored, you were in the process of negotiating a contract with Airmark. And if you didn't sign that, So I'm just, again, I see shaking heads. I'm just
Okay.
getting back what I
So
hear.
I'll let Rob speak on it. I'll let him speak on it. Thank you.
As a contractual matter, I feel more comfortable with David being in the room.
If I would give information that's contrary to what
If that's the case. So what we will do is that, Mr. Whalen, we, at our next meeting on Monday, our solicitor will be here. And as our board of directors, we don't want to discuss, because it's contractual information, we would like to have our solicitor in the room when discussing this type of information. So
But the
with
committee
that
is
being
making a
said,
recommendation today, right?
so the committee is not making a recommendation today. So we're going through our agenda. This item is on our agenda item at this time for next week. So our
Understood.
solicitor will
Okay.
be here next. Yes, you will have the opportunity to speak, because in the meeting, you'll hear me say, does anyone want to ask have any questions or concerns on agenda related items? And then you'll have the opportunity to say some words, and during that time, our solicitor will be there, just, to make sure that I'm stating the right thing, so we will not get in trouble as a district.
Okay, thank you for your time.
very
Y'all have a
much.
good evening.
You too. Are there any other
No.
comments? Questions, okay.
No.
All right, hearing or seeing none, Board of Directors, thank you very much for your time today, in our meeting, and, have a good night.
Thank you.